I love BaRRaCCuDDa streams, but what if they could look a little bit more flashy? A little bit more like this, maybe? Custom subscriber alerts, a fancy animated webcam overlay. All that and more to come in our BaRRaCCuDDa redesign, rebrand, Twitch overlay challenge. BaRRaCCuDDa, a long-time Smite player, one of the first ever champions of Smite, as well as an excellent human being. He is a pillar of the community, a bastion for the game, just an all-round great guy. He's streamed Smite for the absolute longest time, has a really big, gorgeous, beautiful community. As you can see here, he has 500 subs out of his sub goal of 2,700 and whatever. He gets some sizable donations. But there is just one small problem, at least from a designer's perspective. It's that plain white text, especially as you can see down in, that corner where his camera is, that white text on the already kind of quite whitewashed background of his camera. It makes it really difficult to see. So we're going to try, like you can see here, again with our previous one, check out the YouTube channel, subscribe, like, whatever, for those things. But as with our previous example of Perian Flax, he's tried to keep it quite minimalist, okay? There's not an awful lot distracting you from the game. As a Smite player myself, I kind of understand what we have to work with here. There's that small space below the map on the right-hand side, and just to the right-hand side of the bar at the bottom that shows you your items and your health, etc. That's the space you have to work with. So he's tried to keep everything as minimal as possible. He's kept it on top of his camera. He's got some space around his camera that he can use. That's wonderful. And then on the left-hand side, you can see that he's got his top donator, I think that is, with just some plain text. So it's not really distracting from the game, but equally, there's better ways of incorporating that. We know this, and hopefully he'll know it once we get into today's build. So, we start by trying to find out some primary and secondary colours. I spotted in his Twitch panels that he has this nice setup of this sort of dark-ish red colour, as well as a yellowish orange bar across the top. Again, I'm colourblind, so I use hex codes, as you can see me taking notes of these here. I think those are the colours they are. So, we take those and we're going to work with these. So, the red being the primary colour, and then the yellow-orange bar being the secondary. What we need to look at is a sub-goal counter, probably subs to day, top donator, as well as, let's just hop back so we can see what we had there. And then what we're looking at doing is a webcam overlay, as well as some sub and follower alerts, because his sub and follower alerts, I don't know if he has any follower alerts, but his sub alerts at least are the simple sort of default OBS ones. So that's what we're going to work on. So we start off by picking out our area that we can work on. This is our target area. We are only allowed to do things within this space. So we move up the camera a little bit, just because it's right in the bottom corner. That gives us some retail space underneath. And we're going to go with a classic bar here. I quite like these. You just have a single bar, sometimes separated by little lines, which you can see we're trying to draw straight, but I end up giving up and just cutting a straight bar out. We're going to have a single bar with a bunch of metrics on it. We're going to use the Alpha Gaming rotating metrics from Stream Elements again. So again, link to their Discord will be down below if you want to go over there. Say hi, say thank you, because they provide that. That is none of my work. I just like it so much that I use it often, and you can download it from them. So we come up with this bar, and again, I see that he has a lot of his sponsors down in the bottom. I took this as just a bit of inspiration to use the sponsors as the other part of the scrolling bar, which would eventually flick into the subs this day or this stream. And then we go in to look, you see that little fish that I put just above his camera? That is what we're going to play with in terms of the animation around the camera. We do go through a few iterations of this, but the one thing we stick on from the very beginning is this idea of a fish floating across the banner at the bottom, which will become the alerts. So let's save all of this as PNGs and shove this into HitFilm Express, which is where we're going to animate it all. So we want to start with what's going to take up the most real estate. So technically that will be the bar across the bottom, because that's got the sort of larger scale impact, you kind of need the webcam there with it as well as the bar for it to be a thing. I could have realistically done this either way, but just remember yourselves, when you're designing this sort of thing, start with your biggest element and scale down. So here we're just animating the fish so that it will swim from left to right. We're going with the yellow-orange one. It'll fly across, and as it does, it will paint the background the lighter color. And then when it comes back the other way, it'll be the darker red color, and it'll paint it back the darker red color that we are used to. So this is me just keyframing how it's going to swim across. This does take a little bit of time, but let's skip forward and see what it gave us. Okay, so here we are. We have the final fish flying back across, painting it the other color, and then you see quickly there flying back across, making it the lighter color. We'll tie that all in with the animations later in Stream Elements. Now we move on to one of my favorite bits, which is animating the camera itself. Now you see I've just put a big blue square on there to show where the camera should sit. I do like the small little border, and at the moment we're playing with a couple of fish, bouncing over the camera at the top. His name is BaRRaCCuDDa, which is a type of fish, if I'm not mistaken. If I am mistaken and you're not going for that type of BaRRaCCuDDa, I apologize. I actually don't know the origin story of your name, so if I did it wrong, let me know and we'll re-challenge this. But for the time being, we're going with fish. I tried the sort of fish leaping out of water effect. I found that a little bit too distracting. It was a bit too janky and awkward. I thought it would take away from the stream too much. So I went with this almost like predator type, like jaws, fins coming through the water. But even though I did spend a lot of time working on this and I finally got it to work as I liked, in the end, I didn't necessarily like it. I think it was, if anything, a little too small. It was so small, but remote, that it had that same problem of it just drew my eyes away. I tried making that better by putting it down on top of the camera, so it wasn't just going into this black void. But even that wasn't quite enough. So I went back to the drawing board and we came up with a different animation. And this one I am a lot happier with. This is the one that we will eventually put into Stream Elements. So for this one, I create a small separate composite here, where I'm going to have a number of fish just swim across once every 20 seconds or so. They're going to be slightly distorted at different positions, and they'll swim from left to right, and what we'll do is we'll layer that on top of the webcam background we have. And then when you impose the camera on top of it, the fish you'll see some of them swim underneath the camera, some of them will go completely out of view, some of them you'll see like the very tops of them, some you'll see the very bottoms of them, and I think you'll see the end result here very quickly. You'll see it slower later on, is a nice sort of consistent effect. It's not too jarring, which is what I wanted. So now we hop into Stream Elements, which is what I use to bring all of this through into OBS. It's just the easiest way of doing it. So we are going to put in the animated background. At the moment I'm still using the old one, but I will eventually swap it for the new one. You want to make sure, first things first, you want everything you import, you want to make sure it's the same size as what you had set in HitFilm Express. I do everything at 1920 by 1080. I just find it easy that way. It means I don't have to remember other numbers. 1920 by 1080 is what everyone uses for everything. We then start playing around with trying to pull the text in. It takes a little while to get it lined up correctly, but once we do have that lined up, it does flow quite nicely. You've got to play a lot with the animation of when it comes in. That's probably what takes the longest amount of time, but this one was actually quite simple. So we are able to quickly get the subscriber alert going. As you see, it just covered the bottom bar, the subscriber popped up, and then it disappeared again. And of course, all we have to do is add in the sponsors on that left-hand side. Again, this can be replaced by anything at a later date. We already have the Alpha Gaming rotating metrics, and that's it done. So let's take a look at it in its final form. So here you can see the rotating metric on the bottom right. Unfortunately, there is a bit of his camera distorted underneath. I can figure out a way of getting rid of that. But you see, his camera's nice and easy to draw the eye to, but it doesn't take away from the background. You see the metric will roll every now and again, showing you the latest subscriber, and here we have a new subscriber. And it didn't pop up anywhere else on the screen. All these other things that you can still see, like the donator on the left, you can get rid of that. That's now drawn into this thing in the bottom right, where you now see Captain Nerby is subscribed for 3 months. And there is the rotating metric of the rotating banner of his subscribers, which again, you can put anything there. You could remove it and just have one thing rotating. And if you're quick, you may have spotted the little fish swimming behind his camera, making sure that people are still attracted to that bottom right corner, because while the gameplay is what he wants to show off, he is the reason why we're here. The gameplay is good, obviously, but he is a fantastic person, a great personality, and you do want people's eyes to be drawn down there every time he gets a kill. You know, if the action's stopped, you want to be glancing down there. So having that animating in the bottom right is a nice little reminder that, you know, while it's not taking away from the mainstay, it is drawing your eye every now and again. And you can see there's top donator. I tested it myself. So we've managed to roll everything into that one nice, neat little package. And now, rather than having your donator down over this side, just underneath this camera actually, and having all of your other goals on top of your camera over there, blending in with the background, having your subscribers up that way. Yeah, up that way. They're usually up at the top there. Rather than having all these fractured things apart, it's all nice and consistent and neat in that bottom right hand corner. And if I do say so myself, looks a little bit better than it did. So there you have it, our BaRRaCCuDDa rebrand, redesign, Twitch overlay challenge complete. If you enjoyed this, please do give me a like and subscribe, and comment down below who you think I should have a go at next. I am running out of ideas already, and these are incredibly good fun to do. Anyway, I'll catch you next time.